Hello again, John Hernandez up on the fourth floor here at Prairie Meadows as we get ready for the second week of racing here in 2021. The first full week of racing will go Friday and Saturday at 6 and then Sunday and Monday at 4. The man to my right, Bobby Newman, will be in the announcer's booth for this second week of racing. He is the new announcer here at Prairie Meadows. Bobby, welcome to Iowa.
Appreciate it, John. It's my first time being here at Prairie Meadows. It always looked very nice on television. It's far and away nicer in person. Just a fantastic facility, from the casino to the race book to the racetrack to the restaurants. It's wow. All I can say is I'm shocked how beautiful this is.
So you and I have known each other for a number of years. How about giving our fans here at Prairie Meadows an idea of Newman in a nutshell? Where did it all get started? How did it progress? How did you end up here?
I grew up in Southern California. I used to take my Sony Walkman to the end of the grandstand at Hollywood Park and practice calling races into it. Decided it was something that I liked to do. Went to the University of Arizona's racetrack industry program, and from there kind of worked my way up, calling races different places, starting at little fair meets in Arizona, half mile and 5/8 bull rings. Ended up calling races, harness races at the Red Mile in Lexington. Got a big break. I went to Albuquerque, Santa Fe, got a break in going to Thistledown for 3 years. And then, as it turned out, in 1999, Todd Schrupp, who was the paddock analyst at Calder Racecourse, left to go with a new startup television network, TVG. Worked out pretty well for him there. He's still there. And Calder called me to see if I could come replace him down there. I worked in the paddock for a few years, ended up becoming their full-time announcer, and just kind of went from there. I called a few seasons at Los Alamitos in Southern California, and most recently, I've been working for the Horse Racing Radio Network, which is on Sirius XM and online Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, covering live racing from 2 to 5 Central Time.
Good. Sounds like a lot of fun. Now, there was a time in my life when I thought maybe I would be a race caller as well. I got started in the game in the early 80s in Southern California, and you reminisced about the Walkman. I had an old cassette tape recorder. I would record race calls into it. Who do you think listened to those calls back in the 80s in Southern California?
Well, if it was in the 80s, it had to be either Dave Johnson, Harry Henson, or Trevor Denman.
It was Harry Henson. I broke into the game with Harry Henson at Hollywood Park, and you know what a thrill that was for me as a young man, just getting my foot into the door in racing, to be able to rub elbows with Harry Henson. And not only Harry Henson, but I mean, you talk about some of the personalities that were there back then. Shoemaker was riding, McCarron was just getting going, Delahousie was just getting started, McHarg was still in Southern California, Charlie Whittingham was training, Lucas had just come over from the quarter horse game, so it was quite a heady atmosphere for me as a young man just getting started in horse racing. So thinking back to the early to mid 80s, Trevor Denman burst on the scene in Southern California. His style was a radical departure from what people were used to hearing in Southern California. How has his calling influenced today's callers?
I think both Trevor Denman and Tom Durkin, who were the two big callers back at that time, really influenced all of us who came behind them. And whether you preferred one over the other, they were so good at what they did, whether they were paying attention to what the favorites were doing, their description of what was going on in the race, and just the broad view, and not just, you know, telling you every little thing that went on like this, but keeping a view of everything that's going on, and horses that may be moving from the back, horses that are blocked, just knowing that everyone wants to know where their horse is, giving every horse in the race at least one call at some point, and being as entertaining as they can possibly be while still being as accurate as they can be.
So another caller that influenced today's callers would be Luke Kreitbosch, who many of us know from his time in the limelight, unfortunately no longer with us. How did he influence you?
He was a huge influence on me. First of all, he went to the racetrack industry program at the University of Arizona before I did, so I kind of followed in his footsteps. He called those same small fairs that I ended up calling. He was the one who told me about the job opening at Thistledown when I was working in Albuquerque. I didn't even know where Thistledown was at that time, and I had to get one of the old Rand McNally maps out to figure out how I was going to drive to Thistledown once I got the job. Great friend, great guy, obviously a fantastic caller, and when unfortunately he did pass away, I was actually the first one to call races at Churchill Downs after he was gone.
Wow. Okay, you have spent the last week in Kentucky, speaking of Churchill Downs, as part of the Horse Racing Radio Network team covering Oaks and Derby. What was the mood like there this year?
Well, first of all, I got to cover them both with Jude Feld, an old friend of yours.
Yes,
She said to say
course,
hi to you,
okay.
buddy, old trainer from Southern California. The weather was fantastic for both Oaks and Derby Day. They had way more people, live attendance, than I think they were expecting. It was great to see because you love to see it on those big days where people are flocking out to the track. People were dressed up, people were having a good time. The races were both spectacular. The finish in the Oaks with Malathat and Search Results was a tremendous stretch battle. 4 of them across the track in the Derby, with Medina Spirit ultimately holding on to give Baffert another Derby win. It was a great experience, and one I hope I get to do a lot more often.
Okay, so as always, we narrow it down to one possible Triple Crown winner. Legitimate or not?
Well, I would say yes, he's legitimate because he's never run a bad race in his life. I'm not a huge Medina Spirit fan. I'm not convinced he's even the best 3-year-old in his own barn. I thought Life is Good was a much better 3-year-old, but unfortunately he got injured. I think Concert Tour is a better 3-year-old when he runs his good races, and it sounds like he's going to run in the Preakness too. Concert Tour is legitimate, but he doesn't lay over the field.
Okay, I'm upstairs with Bobby Newman. He is the new track announcer here at Prairie Meadows. He'll be here for the first full week of racing, second week of the 2021 season. When you're not here calling races, what do you do for fun?
Well, if the weather's nice enough, I'm going to be out on the golf course. I'm not a very good player, but I love to play. And as long as it's not raining or really, really cold, I'll be there. So if you like playing golf and you need a fourth on a non-racing day, find me.
Okay, come and join us for the second week of racing here at Prairie Meadows. Friday and Saturday at 6, Sunday and Monday at 4. Bobby Newman in the booth for the first time this week here at Prairie Meadows.